Hello everyone, welcome to another Gemini update. We have some new features to look at. So you can now share Gemini artifacts, which are things that are created in the Canvas mode or the deep research mode. So we'll look at how that works. So if you haven't used the Canvas mode before, I'll show you quickly where it is. So if you want to create something, you can click the plus here, and then you can go to Canvas there. And once you've got that selected, the thing that you are creating, you create in a kind of side-by-side window with Gemini. So you're kind of collaborating and creating things as you go. And this can let you create some really interesting things. So I'll give you an example here. So I've put in a few documents. These are forms from social care. These are anonymized forms. So about a person, and then I've said, can you create an interactive dashboard for a social worker to easily see the details about their case, include a timeline of the case. And if you click on that Canvas mode there and send that off, this is what it's created. So it's taken that document, it's read through the document, it's pulled out all of the information from it, and it's created this useful dashboard here. So you can create some quite flashy looking things using this. You can create graphs, you can create websites, all those sorts of things, and we've looked at that previously in the previous Gemini updates. But the problem was that you couldn't really share them very easily. So they're quite useful, and I can come in here and I can interact with this. I can go to the timeline, things like this. Is a fully working little app. But if I wanted to share it with someone else, it was quite difficult. So you would have to come to the code section, take the code, put it into like a Google site, and then share it like that. So they've made that all a bit easier now. So if you have created something interesting in the Canvas mode in Gemini, you can now come to the share button up here and you can share it via Drive. So I click on that and then connect to my Google Drive, click proceed. It's going to create a version of this that I can then share with other people. So I can put this in here and I can share it with other people and give them access to it just like any other Google file. So if I click done, you'll see that that is now also been created in my Gemini artifacts folder in my Drive. So you've got a new folder now in your My Drive once you've created one of these Gemini artifacts, and you will see that that thing is in there. And then I can share this exactly like any other file, or I can move it to a different folder if I want to. I can move it to a shared drive. And the way to think of it is like it has created a snapshot of that application that you've created. So if you continue working on it, if you continue working on here and add more bits in, that's not going to update. That thing is as a snapshot of that thing that you created there. And when you share it with someone else and they open it like this, and it open up in its own app here that they can use, they can interact with that app, but they haven't got that Canvas mode for them. If they then click try Gemini Canvas, they can then continue editing that thing that you've created, but it's their own version. They're not editing your version. It doesn't share quite like a normal Google file. So they are continuing with their own snapshot of it. So very interesting, very useful. I think it's worth pointing out a small issue with the Canvas mode that I've noticed. Sometimes if you are creating something like this, it creates the code for it, but it doesn't show you that preview window. So if you look at this one, I've got the option to switch between the code and the preview, and that's really useful. But sometimes it just doesn't create that preview window, so you'll just see the code. So if that does happen, don't worry, you can just click in here, Control A to select all the code, Control C to copy it, and then what I've done here is I've actually just created a new Canvas window and pasted that code in. So I've just pasted it in there, and then that seems to create the preview window. So if you do have that issue, you can try that out, but it does seem to kind of come and go for me, so I don't know what the problem is there. Hopefully it will get fixed. Another new feature that is really interesting is in Google Sheets. So now in Google Sheets, you now have this Gemini button here, the drag to fill with Gemini. So previously we had the AI function that you could use to kind of prompt Gemini within a formula if you wanted to, but now you're kind of asking Gemini to fill in the cell using the context of what it's found in the spreadsheet already. So here I've put in some postcodes, I've put in the heading of a borough here, and now I can grab that Gemini button and drag it down there, and it will figure out what it thinks I want it to do based on the context of that spreadsheet. So it's now figured out that I want to know what borough those postcodes are in, and it's put them in there. So this is pretty cool and really useful. I don't know how much you can rely on the answers that you get in there. I think it's probably the same answer as if you would put that postcode into Gemini and ask what borough is this in. So you might need to test it if it's something that's needs to be correct. Like any of this AI stuff, you need to test the answers, but it does seem very useful. So here, if I just want to find out some general information, I can just drag it over here and it will fill in all of these cells for me. So it's going to figure out some stuff in here and fill that spreadsheet in for me. So let's just give it a minute to fill this in. Oh, it's found a few that it's still learning with. It can't help with those answers, so it doesn't know the answer to some of them. So you can see, have a look through, try this out with your own spreadsheets. Obviously you can do it in more than just postcodes. Anything really that you could ask Gemini about. So play around with it and see what uses for it you can find out. Another feature in Google Sheets is Gemini now has the ability to fix problems in your formulas, which I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of people. So if you have a problem in your spreadsheet, a formula is not working, and you've got an error message like this, if you hover over it now, you have this button to fix it here. So what I've done is I've just created a basic VLOOKUP formula, and I'm trying to return something that's outside of the range that I've given the formula. So it's not going to work. But if you click on the fix button here, Gemini will then try and fix it. So it will look at the formula that I've created and try and understand what I'm trying to do and where I might have gone wrong with that formula. So it takes a few minutes, and this is part of the agentic mode in Sheets that we looked at last month as well. So this is doing the same thing. It's running through some different things to understand the problem. So it takes a little while. It's now decided that this formula should work. So if I copy that, come back to my cell here, paste it in, and the formula now works. So sometimes you don't even have to paste it in. Sometimes it will just fix the formula directly for you. So if you're having problems with your formulas in Google Sheets, try that out. Another new feature to look at is in Google Vids. So you haven't tried that out yet, have a look at some of my other Gemini updates for information, more information about Google Vids. But Google Vids is the AI video editor and creator within Google Workspace. So if you haven't used it before, I'll show you how you can get to it. So if I come to Google Drive, for example, here, I can click that plus new button, go to Google Vids and create it just like any other sort of Google document. So I come in here and I've got all sorts of options about what I can create, but the new feature is there's some new features with these AI avatars, and you can now extend videos as well. So if I come in here and create a new video, I'm going to put in a photograph, and I'm going to grab a photograph from Kingston High Street, and I'm going to add an avatar to that. Just let that load in. So there's the phone boxes from Kingston. I'm going to add an avatar to my video. So I'm just going to choose one of these pre-made avatars here that we have. Put them in there. And then I'm going to say, have the avatar walk towards the camera and say, welcome to Kingston. So if I click generate, these avatars are now getting better all the time. They're still very American, but hopefully that will change soon. But now you can put avatars into different locations, and you can make them do different things within that location. So once that's loaded up, we'll have a look at what it's created. So here we go. So the avatar is now in that location there, and I'll just quickly have a look at the video, and she's going to walk towards the screen and say, welcome to Kingston.
Welcome to Kingston.
There you go. So now I've created my first video. So there's different video models around at the moment, as I explained last month. So the new video model is Omni, which can create 10-second long videos and has a lot more complicated ways that it can remember what's going on in the video and things it can do within the video. But they are quite limited, the Omni videos, in terms of how many you can create a day. The previous video model is VO, which is what Google Vids is using here, and Omni can create 10-second long videos, VO can create 8-second long videos, but you can now extend them. So if I've created this first video here, I can now click extend, and it will create another video. Asked it to extend the video, and I'm adding some more text for her to say in here, and I can generate that and that will continue on from the end of the previous video. So now, although I can only create 8-second long videos, I can now get to 16 seconds long, and you seem to be able to keep extending them as far as I've tried. I haven't run out of ability yet to keep extending them. When you do extend these videos though, you don't have quite as much control as you did with the first video. So the first video, you can put in photographs, you can put in avatars, you can put in your text and create that sort of scene, and then you can extend that video. But to extend it, you only have the option to put in text as far as I can see. So that means if you want to get a new character in there or something like that, you'll need to describe them, which is not always the best. But it does help being able to create these longer videos. So I think that's going to be useful in some situations. There you go. So it's created that video. So I can now insert this into my timeline, and it will now just carry on from that previous video. So here we go.
Done.
Right here. Another feature is in NotebookLM. So we have a new output here in the studio section of NotebookLM. So this notebook here, I just put those same 3 documents that I used to create the dashboard earlier on. I put those into NotebookLM, and I can now ask questions about the information in that in those documents there, which is very helpful. And of course, you can create all those outputs that we've looked at previously. If you haven't used NotebookLM yet, go and check my other videos for more information about that. But the new option we have here in the video overview section is we have this new short video. So this is a vertical phone shaped video that you can create, which is 1 minute long. So this could be quite helpful if you're creating things for social media. So if you want to create a campaign to raise awareness about an issue, you can put the important documents in here and create a 1 minute long video that you can then share on social media. Or if you just want a quick way to get an update on something. So I've got these information about a social work case. I can then create a 1 minute video to give me maybe a reminder of what was happening in that case. So let's have a quick look at what it created here.
Priority 1 case escalation for Arthur Sterling. Over the last 48 hours, his self-funded care structure has completely collapsed. Arthur's baseline is complex, managing advanced Parkinson plus and progressive dementia.
And remember, when you're creating these things in Notebook, you don't have to just press the button and accept what it's created. You can customize it in here. So the first one that I created for that situation was quite a dark, almost horror film style thing, because the topic is about illness and someone with lots of different conditions. But I then went back in here and said, can you create a professional video for a social worker? And I got that video that I then showed you there. And it's given you some options here on what you can focus on as well if you want to focus on particular topics. So you can customize the style and also the content of that video in that prompt there. So try that out. And you can do that with all the things that you're creating in NotebookLM as well. So if you're creating slideshows or reports, you can customize that and make it more like what you're looking for. So really try and explain what you're after, and you'll get more useful outputs. And if you create something and you don't like it, you now have some more options here as well. So if you have created something, so say I created this report here from this notebook, I just pressed the button, I created the report, and it's not what I wanted. You can now click these 3 dots over here, and you can go to view prompts and sources, and you can see the sources that it used to create that thing and the prompt that it used to create that thing, and you can now iterate on that prompt. So if I press this button here, I can then come and change that prompt. So when you're on this screen, these are the kind of default templates that it's given you here, and these are some other formats that it thinks might be useful. So it's understood what the information is about and created these different formats, which could be what I want. But if you click on the create your own one here, it will take that prompt that you've just decided to iterate on and put it in here, and then you can then come and add extra bits. So I could say focus on the medical conditions, and it will add that to the prompt. Obviously, if you know what you want to create, you should add a lot more detail than that, and really try and create exactly what you're looking for. It's good to think about what do you want at the end product and try and explain that in the prompt so that you get what you're looking for. And then you can regenerate that report. And that's it for this month's Gemini update. So see you next time. Bye.